And the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
So I am calling on every youth, I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. The cry from the ghetto. And the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
So I am calling on every youth, I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. The cry from the ghetto. And the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got to try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the we got a choice. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. For the youth them, no, we got a choice.
So I am calling on
Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. For the youth them, no, we got a choice. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. For the youth them, no, we got a choice.
So why we allow
Blessed and good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction. Of course, last week we were absent. Last week, and it was basically for unseen circumstances. But nevertheless, we are here today. We are here with you. And of course, we will continue to bring the facts to you with the development in our country. So let me welcome you locally, internationally, regionally. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's nice for you to join us. And let's get straight into today's proceedings. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a place in this country where I believe that every right-thinking citizens will be trying to ascertain how we reach here. And that is easy, that is easy. I will help you to understand how you reach here, why we are here. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, simply because we made the wrong choice. We make the wrong choice in 2015 and we repeat in 2020. And that is why we are here. Because, first of all, we had a government between 2010 and 2015. A government who came to you, the population, with policies to empower you, with policies to improve your standard of living, with policies of development in relation to this country, with policies to invite foreign investors, with policies to have this country heading in a direction where if we had continued today, we would have been a proud Trinidad and Tobago. But like everything in life, there is mistakes. We make mistakes. We made mistakes as we grew up in this society. Some mistakes can be corrected. Some mistakes carry a huge consequence. And some mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, cause you your life. And this is one of the mistakes that we make in 2015. We made life-threatening mistakes. And therefore, we are at this point today in our history, in our country, where we do not know what tomorrow brings. We do not know what tomorrow brings. And the reason why we do not know what tomorrow brings is simply because at the hem of power, we have an individual together with a group of people who have no compassion, who demonstrate no care for you, the citizens of this country. You, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we ought to take a position to tell this government where to come off. We have to take that position. We have before us a number of serious allegations. Allegations of mass corruption by ministers. We have ministers who they are at the center of TTPS special branch report. we have a task force who did an investigation in relation to the abuse of children. And you know, as I continue to dig back and dig back further, I was reading an article, I believe it's from Marlene MacDonald, who speaks at the time where she was saying that there is a number of allegations of abuse in children homes, and she would ensure that the perpetrators feel the full brunt of the law. The full brunt of the law. And we have heard these types of statements emanating out of the PNM in different situations, but in reality, and to the end of the day, what we have seen, it is nothing but cover-ups, nothing but old talk, nothing but protection, nothing about defending the innocent children of our country. Today, my wife, while we were having lunch today, put on the radio. And on the radio, I was hearing a voice of a madman. I was hearing the voice of a man who telling this country in a press conference that the leader of the opposition have the gall, and every how he emphasize, to sit on a platform and speak about some ring. That is how he put it. Some ring. And how the SAPCA report, how that chairman spoke, highlighting negatives about one party against the other. What this madman wanted the chairman to do in relation to that report, do what he does in this country, lie to the population. That is what he wanted. He wanted that man to implicate members of the UNC. That is what he wanted. He wanted that man to leave it open to say government, ministers, high officials, and just left it dangling in the air. We must face the reality in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. Reality is something that we must face. We have seen over the years the nasty behavior of high-ranking PNM officials. We have seen the nasty behavior of these men who sits in high office, these men who sits in our parliament, a place that ought to be sanctified, a place that ought to be sanitized, a place, ladies and gentlemen, where spiritual and moral values should be emanating out of our parliament. But what we have seen over the years is the behavior and the way in which those who you have elected to look after the interests of this country, the way in which they behave, they use the parliament of this country as their private home. So they say they do, they get on, they behave however they want to. And to the end of the day, the opposition must sit down and remain quiet. Well, I have news for this madman. We on the opposition side, we will not sit down. We will not be quiet. We are going to be vocal. We are going to be truthful. And we are going to highlight all the wrongdoing of this PNM government, who now sits in office in this country, carrying this country down the path of never return. We are going to make noise. You see, when I hear this man talk about, and the leader speaks about some ring, you know, some ring, like we senile in this country, like we dotish in this country, like we don't know what does happen in this country, like we are not aware of what has been taking place over the years with this PNM that we speaks of. This PNM, ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing and what we are hearing and what we are reading, it is nothing new. This is nothing new. This PNM government, this PNM party, they are accustomed abusing small boys and small girls in this country. They are accustomed to this pedophile behavior. I want to ask this madman if he at any time ever in his history interfere with schoolgirls. I want to ask him that. I want he to come out and tell us if he in his lifetime ever interfere with girls of school age. This is nothing new to we. We are accustomed with this rotten behavior inside of the PNM. Inside of the PNM. And what this PNM do, they cover up every immorality, every sexual abuse by high-ranking officials who support that party, whether they sit in the judiciary, whether they sit in the law association, whether they sit in the business sector, or whether they sit in the cabinet. They cover it up. This is nothing new. They are accustomed with that type of behavior. We have seen several reports coming out with abuse and abuse and abuse. And what this madman will tell us, he will tell us what the UNC did with that task force report. Well, yesterday afternoon, the honorable leader of the opposition have shown you, have said to you what they have done, the pieces of legislation that they had brought to the parliament to help protect the children of this country from the wicked, immoral behavior, abusive behavior by members of the PNM. That is what the UNC did. That is what Basdeo Pandey, together with Kamla Prasad Bisesa, did. Brought pieces of legislation. Out of those legislation, we now have the Child Protection Unit, a unit that is being underfunded by this government, a unit that is being understaffed by this government. You know why? Because this government is bent on covering up the wicked, nasty, abusive behavior where they abuse children, they abuse the vulnerable, they take away the innocence and destroy the minds of our children in those homes and other areas. We have information, much more information to come. I want to ask the PNM today, how many of their hierarchies would go in to certain areas where they are friends with the parents of young girls and young boys who is living in the poverty, in the pits of poverty, and the seducement that they will induce to the parents, where they will take possession of those children, taking them out to spend time on a weekend, taking them out to eat and to drink the best food that they have never experienced in their lifetime in these areas. And yet to the end of the day, these wicked P&M animals will take these children to various areas where these children would be abused. That is the type of nasty, wicked behavior that this P&M have. That is what they do. I am now seeing people who is coming out and speaking out. People who speak out for years that nobody wanted to listen to. I saw one gentleman who came out and said that he was abused for years in his childhood by high-ranking officials. But nobody wants to hear that. One individual said that when he tell the priest what was happening, the priest tell him, I will be there for you. I will be there for you. And the priest really wanted to be there for him, but not in the way that him wanted the priest to be there. The priest wanted to be here, there, in the back there, and everywhere. That is what we face. That is the reality. That is the reality, Trinidad and Tobago. So when I listen to this madman talking about some ring, like if he don't know the ring exists, and like if he don't know the players in the ring. The players in the ring is people who he protecting. That madman protecting people, the players of the ring. Because I remember institutions call for investigation, and that madman up to today deny it. Deny it. Why would you deny something of that nature? Added to that, why would you get a report of further abuse with our children, and you will put that report down for over 6 months, and it's only when a whistle blow, then we hear somebody telling we about they feel to cry or they cry, and then the madman will turn around to cover up that. The madman, the greatest, the best, the man who is able to create, very much creative, to bring every form of distraction, to distract every situation that confront him, and his negligence and his incompetence. A matter of fact, I heard the madman said today that he do not lie. The madman said today, I do not lie. I always speak the truth. And he just lie by telling you, the people, that he always speak the truth. That is a dangerous liar. That is a dangerous liar. Every time he get caught. He uses another lie to deceive you. You know what's sad about that? Let me tell you what's sad about that. You know, I've seen so many people fall for that deception, that they're texting and telling the madman that you are doing a good job and we support you. If all you could text and say all you support that madman, then I am telling you who support that all you is responsible for the abuse of our children. All you is responsible for the abuse of our children. Because let me tell you something today, Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you something today. In this lifetime, we could never, ever support somebody, to support some party, to support some group of individuals who allow the abuse of our children to continue, and yet to the end of the day still protect their friends who are responsible for the abuse of our children. That is how dread the madman is. The madman is such a wicked man. The madman is so devilish that the madman rejoices on every form of iniquity. The madman rejoices on former individuals who sits in the same chair, who was sin. The madman reach a point that he will stop at nothing. His deceptions will stop at nothing. He will continue to use every form of deception and every form of this deception and every technique of distraction to remain sitting where he are. That is what this devil continue to do. So I finished with the madman now. I'm done with the madman. I want to ask the Prime Minister now of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to ask Keith Christopher Rowley what he intends to do with the reports and the allegation that continues to surround these homes in relation to the abuse of our future generation. You see, Keith Christopher Rowley, I am trying to analyze. I am trying to look at your behavior. I am trying to use some form or use some method to see if I can see into your brain. Because I want to tell you something, Mr. Prime Minister. It seems as though that your brain is right. It seems as though that your brain is right. I don't know what you're suffering from. I don't know if you're suffering from something. But I think you need to tell this country what is really happening. Because a prime minister of a country is one who, first of all, rule according to law. 2, a prime minister of a country will ensure that justice is across the board. 3, a prime minister of a country will look out for the future of that said country. 4, a prime minister of a country will go length and breadth to ensure that corruption, nepotism, if it do raise its ugly head, that he will take the necessary steps and measures to minimize those ills in society. I have seen you, Mr. Prime Minister. I have seen you condone behavior that is contrary to our Constitution. I have seen you, Mr. Prime Minister, stand up on press conferences and use languages that is not befitting a Prime Minister of a country. I have seen you, Mr. Prime Minister, stood up and degrade women in the worst manner, a manner that I don't even think any other prime minister in any other country have utilized to degrade our women. I have seen you, Mr. Prime Minister. I have seen that you, as the head of our country, and I will use it in the terms because we know the role and function of the president, all right? So let me forget she for now. We're talking about you. And yet, within all of that, Mr. Prime Minister, I have seen that you have treated the citizens of this country like an outside child. You have treated us as though you are the father of our next child and you are not the father of us. And when you treat us like outside children, Mr. Prime Minister, that tells us that you have not yet understand the role of a father in our society. Mr. Prime Minister, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something here today. Where this country going? Where you taking us, Keith? Is it to say that you are taking us in that train that Hitler started to place the Jews? Where are we going? Where are you taking us? It seems as though that you are now taking us to a new place that is called no man's land. I know one of your ministers said nobody lived there. Nobody lived there. And the next one say, what you doing here? You don't belong here. Get out of here. But where are you taking this country, Keith Rowley? Keith Rowley, what policies have you brought to this country to take this country forward? What you have done to us, Keith? What you have done to us? Where are we going? Is it a case that the blind is leading the blind? Is it to say that some people are comfortable going down into the ditch? We have seen the best of Trinidad and Tobago between 2010 and 2015, the best. We have seen a leader who demonstrates what leadership is all about, Keith. Is it why, Keith, You try to degrade Kamla Prasad Bisesa in that way because you realize that you could never step or walk or even try the shoes on. We have seen a leader who make every effort to bring this country to power, to have us at the hem of a third world country. We have seen a leader who make every effort to put a future for the young people in this country. We have seen a leader who had intended to diversify even the agriculture sector, the oil sector, bringing policies helping us to understand that we ought to feed ourselves, putting programs in place where farmers would have benefit, where we would have zonal farming, we would have been able to deliver. We would have been, by this time, I am certain, heading deep inside the export market. We have seen a leader, Keith Rowley, who placed education in this country to a place that we can only compare to be the epitome, a heights that you could never understand. And sometimes I wonder when I hear they say that you was a school teacher, Keith. Sometimes I wonder what you was really teaching those students. But I think we had the answer for that. I think we have the answer for that, Keith. What you have taught those students, we have the answer for that. But let me ask a question, Keith. Was there a ring at that time? Was there a ring at that time, Keith? I ask him. Because I also asking you, Keith, if you impregnate a schoolgirl, I also asking you. And if you could answer that for me, then I might be able to determine if there was a ring at that time. I don't know. I can't see. I could only ask. I only hearing, but I asking now, and I asking you. They say, I want the cleanest water, go to the fountain, the top of the fountain. So I come into the top of the fountain. Keith Rowley, did you, first of all, were you a school teacher? And if so, did you impregnate a schoolgirl, somebody who you teach? And if that is so, tell us, was there a ring at that time? You see, if I know there was a ring at that time, then I will know what happened now is the expansion of a ring. That is what I will know. So I asking you straight. Me wasting time to ask Tom, Dick, or Harry. I asking you. So you tell us, Keith, if these things happen. So it will help Trinidad and Tobago to know what kind of man you are. And if this is the case, I want to suggest that the parliament, the cabinet, your cabinet, put in place a piece of legislation to go back and jail all pedophiles. All, everyone. Retroactive. Let us go back. Once you're serving, let us go back and jail all, because this is only sick people action. This is sick people action. There is a quote that said, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. Keith, you know that quote? Show me your friends, and I will tell you who you are. So let me ask some questions here tonight. Keith Rowley, were you and Martin Joseph good friends? Keith Rowley, were you and Ken Valley good friends? Keith Rowley, were you and John Jeremy good friends? Keith Rowley, were you and Gordon Draper good friends? Keith Rowley, were you and John Donaldson good friends? Keith Rowley, are you and Ivor Archie good friends? Keith Rowley, are you and Nolan Barrow good friends? You see, if these individuals are your friend, then I'm sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that you would be doing the correct thing. Soak that in a little bit. Soak that in a little bit. Boy, let me tell you about rotten Trinidad. Let me tell you about nasty Trinidad. Not the country, you know. Some of the people in this country who rotten and nasty. Let me call the name now. Huh? Huh? Yeah. Ha ha. Hey. Ha. You understand that language? That language? Them is the wicked people in this country. You hear what I say? Let me say it again. Huh? Aha. Them is the wicked people. Them is the people who have us in this situation today. I pray God tonight that you, the people of this country, could open your eye. I pray that all your eye could open and just see the truth. I don't know how in this country the norm has become lie for truth, and truth becomes people's enemy. Anytime you talk the truth in this country, you become people's enemy. That is why they don't like Kamla Prasad Bisesa. You know why they don't like Kamla? Because none of them could come and say Kamla lie. None of them could say Kamla lie. But I could tell Keith Rowley, he does lie. Keith Rowley, you does lie. I telling you that. The country know that. Let me tell the mothers of this country that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin. Liar. Liar. And in case you was closing your fridge door, or whatever you was doing with the fridge, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin. 2 weeks later, all, everybody gone, shut down, broke down, closed down, locked down. Bye-bye Petrotrin. Liar. But the longest rope have an end. You see, what is happening now is that the walls are falling in on this government. The truth are now being exposed. The people of this country cannot take it anymore. And tonight, I want to make a humble plea. I want to make a humble plea to you people who sits in high office. You people who have the information with the amount of corruption, the amount of thievery that is going on. I want to beg you tonight to just leak those information. Send those information out. Send it out. You can send them to any member of the opposition. We will hold it in high regard. We will hold it in all privacy, but we will expose the contents. Please send it out. Let us save Trinidad. Let us save Trinidad. Send the information outside. Call any member of the opposition that you trust. Any member. Call them and just send that information out and help us save this country from this government. That is what we asking you. Please send it out. If you don't have a whistle, blow a flute. You don't have a flute, blow a trumpet, blow a trombone. Just blow the information outside. We need it. Let us save this country. This country can no longer continue under this leadership that sits at the hem of political power. This country, ladies and gentlemen, we are the worst in the Caribbean at this point. Everybody gone and going past us. And you know why that is happening? It is happening because those who sit at the hem have no idea. They have no plan how to diversify this country. We ask you, ladies and gentlemen, open your eyes. We can no longer sit idly by and see our beloved country go down the drain. While some of you support the PNM because you have a CPEP work, and because you have a URP work, and because you're getting a food card, and because you're getting some gas card that you might get, or some of you may very well have, and because certain money is coming out through certain MPs to touch certain people, I ask you today, think about the future, think about the country, think about your children. That little cent and penny that you're getting, you feel that could set a future for your children? You feel that could provide a future for your children? Have you not seen that you are being used and abused by this PNM? This PNM not only abuse little boys. They abuse big boys too. They not only abuse little girls. They abusing you mothers. They are abusing you. Can't you see that is what is happening to you, the people of this country? What else again you want? I can't understand how you could experience, I have a friend and we went out recently and we had a discussion in the van. And he was saying that he don't see why somebody had to come and tell you and convince you why you should vote for the UNC. And when he said that, I stopped talk because I'm analyzing the statement. You know what he meant? He meant that you was getting water in your pipe. He meant that you had a job. He meant that you were able to pay your bills. He meant that schools were billing. He meant that there was grant coming across the board. He meant that everything was working positive for you. So why he, after you experiencing now what you experience, why he should come to tell you why you should vote for the UNC? And I 100% agree with him here. I agree with him. Because I think that we on the UNC side, we should not even be campaigning. You know why? Because you have experienced what the UNC had done for you between 2010 and 2015. And after experiencing what you get from 15 to 20, and from 20, now we in 22 going forward, what you're getting, let me tell you something, bamboo is joke. Bamboo is joke. You getting it raw. And you still sit down there with a P&M jersey. You still sit down there and going on Facebook and texting when idiots talking and saying good job. You still sit down there and saying the man doing the best. You still sit down there. Your life going down the drain. Your family life going down the drain. Your children life going down the drain. And you still sit down there and talking about supporting the PNM. I think that all you had to be crazy or all you had to be sick. Is it a sickness that developed in your brain over the years that you could no longer see what is right? But because that sickness has grown within the brain, that it becomes a tumor, that you cannot see anything. You can't even see the wickedness that is being administered to you. But all you're seeing is something black and something red and something clear. Red, black, and clear. What is that? That signifies the PNM. The black man that they propagate in your brain that cause the tumor to grow, or a matter of fact, to cause the tumor to be placed there. The balize that is red, that continues to grow within that brain, and the balize juice that is clear. Don't smell good though, but clear. And because you see that red and that black man through the clear juice, you tell yourself that you won a Shakunia goal. That is what you tell yourself. Only to realize that at the end of the day, it's not even brass. It have no value. And that is what the PNM have done to your life. They have brought your life in this country to no value whatsoever. Sparrow sing a song. Sparrow sang Jean and Dinah, Rosita Clementina by the corner broken. Know that song? See, if you catch them broken, you could get them all for nothing. That is what the PNM has brought you to be. Broken, and therefore anybody could get you for nothing. And I ain't asking, I'm telling you that. You know why I'm telling you that? Day before yesterday, I met a young lady in Siparia. She said, "Mister, could I get money to buy a pack of milk?" I said, "To buy a pack of milk, family?" "Yes, a pack of milk for my baby." Let me tell you something. I broken. I still go on and play man. I tell a Chinese man, I just call him China man. A Chinese man, a friend of mine. I said, "Chinese man, you what happening, boy? This woman want all the money to buy a pack of milk I have. I want you buy it for she and I will give back the money." He said, no problem, no problem. You go buy milk. Girl, wait here. You go buy milk, bring back for she. I go on across the road, I buy the milk. And I bring it back for she. She said, Mr. I could get your phone number? Well, I get frightened. I get frightened for two things. I say, what? This look like it's more milk. This look like every time the baby had no milk, my number go be ringing. And I leave it there. And I want you to leave it there too. I know all the tricky, you know. Leave it there. That is where we reach. That is where we are. I tell a little last week on the radio about a lady that I know, a young girl. She got CPEP in. She have a baby. The baby grandmother taking the child down to Palo Seco. And while the mother working, she getting a little time. Either go under the tree or go by the shop or the bar, where she could take out the tite and breastfeed the child. And then the grandmother take the child and go on, and she continue to work. That is where we are. Prayer larceny on the rise. A thing like Moko, where people used to say is hog food. Boy, you can't even get a bunch of Moko now. People complaining. Man passing the night and going with the Moko. Some people have called it blogo. Going with it. You can't even get that. That is what all you support. That is the consequence of your action, people. Fathers home like little boys in the house. Woman telling them, you ain't bringing nothing here to eat, though. You hear pot cooking, you come in the kitchen. I just be hearing. People just be talking. All by the grocery. He home. He ain't going out and look for $1. He was working. He got a little cutlass work, the people ain't pay him. I had to carry thing to eat home. And when I reach home, he want the best part of the chicken. He know how chicken come. He know what I do to get chicken. That is where we are, people. Domestic violence on the rise. People beating baby to death. Taking out their frustration. Beating them to death. Man killing woman, killing boy, killing girl. Frustration. Neighbor cussing. It had nothing in the house to eat. What you want me to do? You want me to go and do this? You want me to go and do that? Man coughing his neck. People hungry. People starving. Why? It is not because of the UNC. People starving in the country because of the choice that they made. They made a choice to support something that looked like them. They make a choice to support something that have the color like them. But what they did not realize is that that something doesn't even like them. That is the reality of things. That is the reality of things. I have seen people sitting down, lying down, and accepting all the ills of this government. I heard the union talk about wage. Time almost out, so I ain't gonna go there today, but you could catch it on the radio Tuesday. Don't forget to catch Arnold Roberts tomorrow on Douglas Radio also from 6:15. And you should also catch the Monday Night Forum tomorrow, Archie. And you will also catch the Monday Night Forum from about 7:30. So stay tuned. A lot of development. But let me say this before I go. You have to understand that the union stood up and get on bad. It have a song, somebody walk a mile and the telele. You remember that song? How that song they go? I walk a mile and a half on a Tilele. The union walk about 100 miles and a half. And the Tilele themselves, they zant themselves. Them and Rowley, they zanting the rubbing shoulder with Rowley, all of them in front, all of them with the cap on, Roger, all of them, the whole Michael and he set and all of them who talking, never see them, Tilele. Now they're talking about shut down the country because of 1 or 2%. I think I hear Rowley say today, shut down the country? That shut down country is a talk because they want to get more. That is how the class earlier. Only enjoy 100 and I think was 43 wage negotiation under the UNC. 143. Today, under Keith Rowley, or they have nothing, or they will get nothing, or they will die with nothing, but all have a choice. All have a choice. Put a little short tail between all the leg and come and work with the opposition where all you, the working class, would be able to benefit, and you union leaders could raise your head high up again. Other than that, keep your head down, bow your head in shame, because other than that, the union is nothing but a disgrace to the working class. I was here. Good night.
Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share your life. When you use them, no, we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share your life. When you use them, no, we got to try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country.